So this is the place to be if you are considering making a geometric ring. We are going to walk through parametric modeling quickly, just briefly touching on it, and then also using our sketch environment in order to make a two-dimensional sketch, which we will then modify and pull into a three-dimensional form. So have a new file open, and I'm going to go ahead and start by changing my active units to millimeters because we are making a ring, and jewelers work in metric system for more accuracy because it is a smaller unit of measurement. So change our active units to millimeters. And then I guess I should briefly describe what we're going to be doing. So we're going to be working in a completely different modeling environment than we have before. So this is kind of our typical modeling environment, all the same tools that you've been used to using so far. But we are going to enter into a sketch environment, which is exactly what it sounds like. It is sketching, drawing two-dimensionally. So we're going to be using our sketch environment and also using parametric modeling. So our brief description on parametric modeling, for those of you in 3D printing, we're going to go more into depth with it in the future, but for all you metals people, we're just doing this tiny little segment of it. So essentially parametric modeling is going to allow us to set parameters and model based off of those. So parameters are measurements and variables that I can change, and as I model based off parameters, it essentially makes my model adjustable. So if I have my parameter set to a specific measurement, and then like if I was manufacturing it, my client needed me to change the size a little bit, I could go in and adjust my parameter, and then Fusion will automatically repopulate and recalculate your model to adjust it to the new variable that you've input, the new measurement you've input. And that way, essentially, yeah, it just makes it adjustable for you. Otherwise, if you had made it using primitive methods, you would have to go back in your timeline and edit certain features. And a lot of times if you need to make a big edit, like a big variable change, it will actually end up breaking your model. So modeling to set parameters, parametric modeling, allows you to make adjustments and have Fusion automatically recalculate and repopulate your models for you, set to your changes that you've made. So it's extremely helpful if you're doing something that needs to be a little bit more precise. So with that being said, we're going to start. We're going to create a sketch rather than using one of our primitive shapes. We're going to create a sketch. Also, my shortcut is right there. Now I have to pick which plane I want to make a sketch on, and I'm going to be eventually modeling like vertically, so one of these two planes, doesn't matter which one. And before I start my sketch, I want to go ahead and set my parameters. So for a model of a ring, we're just going to be setting two parameters. The first will be your ring size. So if you model this for yourself and then your mom wanted one, you could readjust your model for her size as well. So yeah, another benefit of parameters. If you haven't already, go ahead and watch the little how-to video on how to determine your ring size. Excuse me. That is going to tell you what size finger you have, and then from that information we can find out what the diameter of that specific ring size is. So go ahead and watch that video, and then you'll be able to figure out what value you're putting in here. I'm going to be putting in 17 just as kind of a guesstimate. I guess I can look real quick. Oh, wrong. If I am a size 7, 17.3. So I'm going to put 17.3 right there, and as my parameter value, that's my ring size. I'm also going to put in thickness, and that refers to like the thickness of my wall. So in this model, it's how much it comes off your finger right there. So add in my thickness parameter by clicking this little plus button. I'm going to name it thickness, and then my expression is going to be, I generally, especially if I'm going to be printing these, want it to be in between 1 and 2 millimeters. If you're printing in something like plastic, you want it to be a little bit thicker so that you get a better quality print. So this is going to be my ring size plus, and then whatever I want the thickness of my ring to be. So 1.7 millimeters. I guess I don't need it. Okay. So you can see that that outer diameter circle, this one right here, is set in my parameters to be whatever my ring size is plus 1.7. That way I always maintain that thickness. Okay, we're gonna go ahead, we have those set, so now we can go ahead and create my two-dimensional sketch. So from the side view, actually let me just go to this guy. Okay, that's what my sketch is gonna look like. One interior circle, one exterior circle. So my interior diameter, my outer diameter. So we're going to start with my interior diameter, which is my ring size. Oh, I didn't really mention that, what I'm doing here. Okay, undo. Oh, didn't undo. There we go. So I'm going to go to my create menu up here and choose a circle. I have various types of circles. When I'm working in my sketch environment, and especially when I'm modeling parametrically, it is best if I'm modeling directly off my origin point. And that way I can keep, especially if I'm sketching in multiple planes, I can keep them all aligned perfectly. So I'm going to choose a center diameter circle, choose the origin as my center point, drag out, and then I could type in my ring size right there, but I want to set it to my parameter, ring size. Oh, sorry, my computer fan's turned on again. Okay, and then I'm going to repeat that process, center diameter circle, which my shortcut is right up there for center diameter circle. Again, starting at my origin, dragging out, and there I wanted to type in my thickness. So now I have the sketch for this line and that outer diameter as well. Just to kind of show you how parameters work now, if I decided actually my ring size is bigger, like 23, you can see that it's completely adjusted my model for me. So again, super helpful. What was it? 17.1? Okay. So we're gonna stop the sketch to exit out of my sketch environment by hitting that check mark, finish sketch, and now I'm back in my modeling environment. So this is what you're used to, all these tools up here, and you can see I have a flat two-dimensional sketch. So from the sketch I can make a three-dimensional object, make this ring, by using my extrude command. So yeah, extrude just will add depth to a plane or a face, which is what this guy is. So I want to select the ring, like not the interior, but that little section, and then I can go ahead and pull it out and extrude it as wide as I want my ring to be. So I'm actually gonna, right now it's set towards to extrude in one direction. I'm going to change that to symmetrically so that it stays lined up on that axis perfectly instead of like jutting off to one side only. And right now it's extruding 11 millimeters in both directions, which is pretty extreme. I'm gonna do 3 in both directions, which creates a 6mm wide ring, which is still fairly wide. That's kind of more of a men's size. If I wanted to do 3mm, which is a wider woman's ring, I could type in 1.5. Okay, so there I have my ring. From here, I can do a whole variety of different things. So if I wanted to, I could really just continue using my primitive geometries, adding boxes, cylinders, spheres. But I want to show you a couple more things in my sketch environment. So I can always edit the sketch if I want to. Right-clicking, edit sketch. You will also notice I have a new folder right there, sketches. So as I create multiple sketches, they'll populate in the sketch folder. I'm going to go ahead and create a new sketch and do it from my top view because I'm kind of wanting to create something to like put on top of this. Actually, yeah. Okay, I'll show you a couple other tools we have in our create menu. So far we sketched a circle, but we also have the option to sketch rectangles. We can do arcs. We can do ellipses. Maybe I'll do an ellipses. A spline will let me create a more curved line, as you can see right there. Let's do an ellipse. Center point. Drag out, and now I can kind of create, you can see this in the video, but this is kind of the top-down view. So this is going to be what I want my, kind of what I want it to look like. So it's kind of a giant, big old thing on the top of your finger. This is a larger ring. Let's just say finish sketch. So that is within my midpoint line, and I have a couple options here. I didn't really show you guys how to use the pipe tool, but this is a really good point to use it because it follows a path, and this sketch line I've created is a path. So if I wanted to create a pipe around that ellipse, I could do that, and I can create a triangular type of a pipe or square pipe, whatever I really want to. I'll move this, but I do want to make sure my pivot is set in a location where I can pull it straight up and down. What if I put it on the bottom? See where that is. Yes, okay. When I move my pivot, I need to hit this green arrow or check mark to set it. Now I can kind of pull that straight up, so it's going to be something that's sitting on the top of my ring. Hit OK. You can notice my sketch is turned off, but it's still there, so I can still do something with it. If I wanted to make kind of a flat base for this pipe, I can extrude my sketch again. Right now it's set to cut, but I can make a new body with it. Maybe something thinner, 1/2 millimeter. And then I can move that up as well. To kind of fit within there. It's gonna bother me that it doesn't like reach this out exterior edge right there. Let's see, first I would like it to line up with the bottom. You can see it's overhanging a bit. My zoom isn't working. There it goes. So what's 9.5? What's 9.2? That's good. Okay. I can I guess it fits right in there. Yeah, okay, I'm happy with that. So that previous section was all just kind of about how to make like a plain normal ring with stuff added on top, but I can also make a ring that is not like your typical, it's not the consistent thickness the whole way around the way that this one is. So I want to show you how to do that. I went back in my first initial sketch right there, right clicked, and now I'm editing that. So if I wanted to make a ring like that big boxy one I just showed you guys, I actually want to change my sketch to include this other space around here. So in order to do that, I am going to use my line tool and just draw a line up from this central origin point where in the edge of my ring, and go ahead and, I don't know, pull it up that high maybe. Just gonna do that side and then the same thing to the other side, and one straight across. Anytime I close in a geometry and it closes in a sketch, it will fill in blue like this. So I need to make sure whatever I'm doing is filled in blue. Otherwise, when I try to extrude it, it's not a closed form, so it won't be able to extrude. So I do need something like that. Also, if I wanted a band that wasn't like straight-sided, I could add on like some little, this maybe wouldn't be the most comfortable ring if I am having spikes all over it. Looks like that first one I didn't actually close off all the way. I'll fix that in a minute. Maybe I'll just do a couple so you don't have to watch me do a bunch. I could be much more precise about this than how I am being. Like, it is telling me the length of my line and the degrees, the angle which I am placing my line. So if I wanted to do this a little more perfectly, I could pay attention to that. And I want to get out of my line tool. So in order to get out of your line tool, I'm actually going to hit my escape key. And now I should be able to grab this singular point, and there it goes. It just wasn't on that exterior rim right there. So let's go ahead and finish sketch and turn that sketch back on. So now I can also extrude these other sections symmetrically. Whoops, what did I do? 1.5 for previously. So that's kind of a similar shape that I have going on in that other ring. And I could also extrude these little guys as well. Yeah, maybe again, better for the top of your ring instead of the part going in between your fingers. I could join it so it becomes all one body now if I want to. I could create a new body if I want to. I'm just gonna join for now. And I have a shape like that. Let me turn my sketch off again. So there's my new ring body, and I can leave it like that, or I can continue to alter it. So I can use my regular tools. I could like add a fillet to that corner if I wanted it to be a little bit rounded, more comfortable for actually wearing. I can also use some of my primitives. Oops. I don't want to do that. And like for the other ring I was showing you, I actually drew a box on this top plane and this side plane. So now I have the option to add my primitives to any of these surfaces. I don't only have to choose these central three. So I could choose this top plane of my ring, and draw a box up here where I could add it on, or I could pop it down in, which will automatically be set to cut. So cut a little section out there. I could just repeat that and repeat that. Some positive forms, some cuts in, which is how I made this ring. I can also continue to create bodies with my sketches, like that guy. And let's see, let me combine those two into one. Move this body up here. I can rotate it and have them intersect. At an angle if I want to. This is not the most interesting. This is a weird ring. I would probably try to have a little bit more cohesiveness if this was an actual ring I wanted to make, instead of just random parts thrown together. But yeah, I did want to show you that there's multiple ways to create bodies. I can continue sketching and extruding in order to populate, like create bodies that way, or I can use my primitives if you feel more comfortable with that. But yep, I can do that to create a geometric ring. So that's kind of the sketch process, very briefly touching on the very basics of sketching. Sketching does get much more complicated and precise as we move into it through 3D printing people to model like very specific things, but this is a kind of a playful introduction to it. So yeah, mess around, explore, be creative, find ways to build forms for your geometric ring.